Welcome to the first edition of the Dumb Marks podcast movie review. I'm Chris, here along with Donald.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We're going to give our thoughts on the 25th James Bond film and Daniel Craig's final Bond film, No Time to Die. How you doing tonight, Donald?
I'm doing good. Been itching at this review for a long time.
So actually, I was thinking about that right before we came on, too, that it's almost completely a week to the point that we got out of the movie theater for this.
Yes.
When saw it last Friday. And no spoiler alert, but, weren't too happy as we walked out of the theaters, and we'll get into that more.
No, don't worry. There'll be spoilers in this movie, in this podcast, for sure.
Absolutely. And that's probably the main thing to talk about here. We're going into detail on this. There's not just going to be any highlighting. We're going to be talking about the plots. We're going to be talking about the characters of the movie, talking about the ending of the movie. So if you have not seen this or are planning to see it and don't want to be spoiled, this is not the show to watch. So, hate to sit there and tell you not to watch or listen to it, but, come back after you watch it, and then you can see, hear our takes and let us know what you thought of No Time to Die as well.
Nice.
Definitely big spoiler alerts with that. Me and Dawn, we're both pretty big Bond fans, and we have been for most of our lives. So I kind of thought, we've seen all the movies, watched them all multiple times. Dawn, do you kind of want to talk about, how you got into the Bond franchise and what you like most about it?
Well, whenever I was born, really didn't know anything about Bond until maybe I'll say when The Living Daylights came out. That was Timothy Dalton's second movie, the one where he went rogue on the Colombian drug lord and that stuff for killing his friend. Sorry, spoiler alert, but we told you already. It's
been 20 years, so it's okay.
So from that point on, I was a huge fan of it. Whenever GoldenEye came out, that was the one that me, Dad, and my mom watched. This was VHS days, so we had to rent because we weren't wealthy enough to keep going to the movie theaters all the time. So that's where my starting point was. And I was always interested in like the spy stuff and everything too. It's actually what I went to go to. That's what I actually went to school for and all that. So it always had an interest in me. How about yourself, Chris?
My dad was a big James Bond fan, so I guess once I became he thought age enough to go see it in the theater, he started taking me. The first one that I actually ever saw was Tomorrow Never Dies. So that was 97 with Bond. So for me, growing up, Pierce Brosnan was the first Bond that I knew. So for me, he's James Bond. As British Sean Connery is, where he is almost the quintessential James Bond character. Like Pierce Brosnan's who I think of whenever I think of James Bond, really. Tomorrow Never Dies, and pretty much from then on, saw that in the theater. Saw all the movies in the theater after that. That was me and my dad's thing. Went to the movies, and they tried to do it with this, but all the delays with COVID. Usually Bond movies come out Thanksgiving time. In November, around Thanksgiving, that's kind of when they were doing. So kind of a nice little tradition to always go to the movie theater for the holidays to go see a Bond movie.
Yeah.
And it used to be every 2 years in a way too.
Because they had the stories and all that stuff already written out. So, delays and everything.
Yeah,
and I have the rec on all mine. I think I said The Living Daylights was my first one, actually Licensed to Kill. So I just want to make sure it's Licensed to Kill was the first one. and that was 1989. So pinpoint that.
Yeah. Part of the reason why I even liked Tomorrow Never Dies even more, other than the great action and everything that was in it and the story, but Terry Hatcher was kind of the Bond girl for that movie. And I was already a big Superman fan, so I would watch Lois and Clark on TV. So this was I don't know if Superman was over at that point or if this was towards the end of whenever the show was finishing up. But just her being on was just oh, I got to see this because Terry Hatcher's in it too. So it's just getting Terry Hatcher, had the crush on her.
Yes.
She's a Bond girl and just everything it kind of wrapped up. But around the same time was whenever the GoldenEye game was out too.
Yes. For the N64. Yes.
Yeah. So there you have me watching the movies of James Bond, and that was kind of me and my dad's thing. And then me and my friends playing GoldenEye on N64.
Yes.
It's the Bond universe was kind of encompassed your life a little bit because you were talking about with your friends, talking about with your family. I guess kind of for a kid, it kind of made Bond, a household thing. And
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And Tomorrow Never Dies came out for the PlayStation 1 also whenever the
okay,
movie was released. So, yeah, that was kind
yeah,
of different too because that was the first one for PlayStation 1 that had the time.
yeah. I remember Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm sure I played all of them, but I know once it got to, I know they did one for World Is Not Enough. I don't remember if they did a Die Another Day game. I don't think they did.
No, they did. No.
Okay,
No, they
but
started
once,
spinning off with a lot of other stuff then.
yeah, I remember they started doing like the Bond games, but they weren't related to the movies after that. And they
Hmm.
did quite a few of
Yeah.
those. And once they kind of started doing that, I remember I didn't pick it up as much.
Hmm.
I know a real popular one on PlayStation was the 007 Racing, though. That's still a game that people talk about. They wish would kind of be updated and re-released again.
Hmm.
But like even that, I don't even remember playing. So okay, we kind of got a little story on our
Little
background
history.
here.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Um, so is there anything that you want to talk about the movie before we get into actual talking about the movie?
I was just excited, like you said, like
Yeah,
whenever Bonds get announced and all that stuff, I was like, okay, let's ready to see this. Let's go. COVID hit and all that stuff, especially being Daniel Craig's last one. So
yeah.
I was in high anticipation to see this.
2 years
So
of build up,
yes.
a bunch of COVID. The first delay was Daniel Craig got injured on set.
Hmm.
So they pushed back the movie. Another delay was there was a change in director for the movie. That might have even been the first delay, but so there was a few delays other than COVID,
Hmm.
and then COVID had multiple delays. So we were just about a full 2 years from the original release date. So that's a long time for a
It
movie to
is.
get pushed back.
Hmm.
Um, so okay, I mean, let's just get into it. We'll start from the intro of the movie to the big musical number, which kind of does the big credit scene.
Hmm.
So I'll just go over that real quick, Donald, and then we can discuss it. The intro is a flashback to Madeline Swan as a child. She was in her home with her mother in a secluded area, kind of like what would you say, like a woods, like she
Yeah,
lived in.
I'll say a woods and a huge lake in front of
Yeah.
the house that they were at.
So
Hmm.
no one really around them. Madeline's in the house with her mother. A mysterious man in a mask arrives and scares Madeline. He breaks into the house, has a brief argument with her mother, and kills the mother. Then he starts going around the house looking for Madeline. A young Madeline shoots him, and he falls off the balcony from her room onto the living room floor. And she thinks he's dead, so she starts to like drag him out of the house. But as like she's dragging him, he gasps for air. So she leaves him, and she runs outside, and she goes onto that frozen lake. The man chases after her, and the ice begins to crack, and she falls in. And you think he's just kind of going to let her drown or do something there, but he ends up rescuing her, and which kind of surprised me,
Hmm.
with that, because if he was going after to kill the family, why rescue the girl?
Yes. Hmm.
Um, Anything that you want to discuss out of that segment, or anything that you want to add to it from what we saw?
Um, no, it was a typical Bond, like, flashback intro,
Yeah,
just seeing, especially Madeline from, if you guys didn't know, she was Inspector. She was Mr. White's daughter. And that, just seeing how she was young and with everything and who's his mystery guy. There's always
yeah.
a fun with the guy in the mask. Like, who's the mystery guy? Who's the mystery guy? What's the story behind him?
Is he the
So
villain?
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a villain. If not, who knows, but it instantly got me hooked.
yeah.
It's something that I bit on and was like, okay, it's time to get the story going.
I agree. It was a nice hook. It was a nice little backstory, not knowing a whole lot about her other than her being Mr. White's daughter.
Hmm.
So it added another level to her character, which was good.
Yes. Hmm.
So moving on, we then joined Bond and Madeline not long after the events of Spectre. Bond visits the grave of Vesper Lind, who, me and Donald, we talked about this. I didn't remember her character because it's
Yeah.
been like a decade since I watched Casino Royale.
Uh-huh. And for those who don't know, Vesper, she was the Bond girl in Casino Royale,
Yeah.
the one who James fell in love with at the end, who betrayed her. I mean, who betrayed him.
Yeah, and he ended up, and she saved his life in the movie too, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So you get to this point where they're driving around, and it basically leads to the big chase scene of the intro that we're accustomed to get with Daniel Craig. It was a little toned down, which you can understand a little bit with an aging Bond. Um, but doesn't mean it wasn't any less good. I think you still got all the action and got the adrenaline pumping, in that segment that you want from Bond. Bond Malin escaped from the Spectre assassins. Bond believes at this point that Malin has actually betrayed him, and he puts her on a train and tells her that she will never see him again. And then that ends up leading into the Billie Eilish No Time to Die credits.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So the first, the big chase scene, like Bonds are always known for, I was into it. It was really good. The scene they keep showing is him on the motorcycle, jumping off of the like jumping onto the road. That was like the real big scene from it. Yeah. Then they had like the little shootout where I didn't know his glass was actually bulletproof glass when they were shooting at it. And then when Madeline was screaming, do something, do something, do something, and he was still pissed at her, thinking that he betrayed her. Then he finally snapped out of it and started killing everybody before he put him on the train.
When the one Spectre guy comes up to the glass and he's standing right at the glass, he's just pumping the same hole over and over again, just with that machine gun. Just figures at some point this glass is going to give. And he's not trying to do it, real fast. Like he's like, okay, you got time, I got time.
Yes.
So I like that. It was a good opening scene, and again, got the adrenaline going, hit everything, and then just the scene of him, kind of breaking it off with Madeline, just like cool. It's like we're kind of wrapping up Spectre here before we get into this movie. So then we get into Billie Eilish. Get the opening credits, a lot of artistic stuff in that. If you're a Bond fan, you know what to look for in the musical intro for clues. A couple that stood out to me, I remember, was that there was a shield, and it had the British flag on it, and it was like pooling blood on top of it. I like that because I kind of felt like, okay, like that's got to have something to do with something with Britain, in the UK. That, something happened there, someone's going to die.
Yeah. What I got from it is the shield having blood on it, meaning that the country has blood on its hands, meaning somebody officially is going to be dirty. That's what I get from it.
Steve, this is not the movie. This is not going to be the movie for us to change your mind as to why you should. We could definitely discuss those, though. We have the one that I really liked in the intro, the scene was a DNA strand, but of guns and then bullets like connecting the strands. And I thought that was a really cool graphic.
Yeah.
I don't know, whoever designed that, I thought that was pretty impressive.
My one, my strike one for this so far is the song didn't match the tone at all.
Okay.
The song seems extremely too slow for a Bond. I mean, I know Sam Smith did the Spectre one, the last movie.
Yeah.
And that one was pretty slow, but this one was even slower than that. So I don't give this one a good grade at all. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I don't love the song. Like, it's not something that, is that's going to be playing through my head constantly. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, I think whenever I heard it, whenever it was first released last year, whenever it first came out, like I didn't love it instantly. But then I kind of felt like whenever I actually watched the movie and got the intro, I didn't completely hate it either. Like I kind of felt that it worked in the moment, but
this is my first time actually, listening to the song because I didn't hear it back when it first came out. So this is me, full fledged, like, okay, this is the song. So, you get my first reaction from it, and I didn't enjoy it at all.
And I will say to that, I didn't love Sam Smith's Spectre song either, Writing on the Wall. So, but now the song's grown on me a little bit more. So it's like now it's actually something that I listen to a little bit, like whenever I'm listening to Bond themes or anything like that. That it's like, okay, like I like this song. Where I didn't like it at first in the movie or like on the radio, but maybe this one will grow on you a little bit.
Yeah, the Sam Smith one, Writing on the Wall, I like the song, but I just didn't think the song fit the movie.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you know how much I enjoy Skyfall. So it's like, for me, the perfect movie of Bond, and I loved Adele's theme of Skyfall. So it's like, to me, that all connected.
Yes.
Nothing will ever top Goldfinger. I think that's the quintessential Bond theme.
Oh, yeah, that's a power ballad itself.
Yeah. Like if you're talking about Bond themes, I don't know anybody that's not going to have Goldfinger at the top of their list. But for me, probably number 2 would be Skyfall. For themes. There's so many good ones too.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, like that's another discussion.
Yeah, Live and Let Die. Horrible movie, but great intro. All right, so that takes us through the intro. As soon as we finish the intro, we get a little note on the screen that says 5 years later. So, which is basically, I guess we're to assume that Bond has been away from MI6 for 5 years at that point.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, they pulled off a good old Endgame, let's jump 5 years.
I guess that's just going to be everything with COVID these days. Everybody's just jumping 5 years in movies. Yep. So this is basically where we start to learn the basic plot of No Time to Die. A scientist is kidnapped in the MI6 lab. With M's approval, Project Hercules was a bioweapon created containing nanobots that infect people with a virus by a touch. But the catch is that the virus can be coded to a person's DNA, meaning that it only targets the people it is intended to kill, with potentially no innocent victims harmed. To me, once they started talking about this, it's just like, all right, I know this movie was made pre-COVID, but this just hit a little home, other than the whole nanobots thing, because I kind of overlooked the nanobots thing because I didn't like that either. Just like, okay, like we don't need the nanobot technology in a Bond movie, but like the whole virus itself was just like could you have made almost a perfect type of storyline for a movie at this time?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't care for the nano machines or the nanobites, whatever they call them, because Metal Gear, if anybody plays the Metal Gear series, Solid series, they do everything about nano machines and that stuff. And from that series, I had enough of nano machines. I don't want to hear about nano machines. So strike 2 on my list right there from hearing about
that. And it's just weird to hear. I mean, to me, I think of that like as a sci-fi technology.
Yes.
So to put something sci-fi-ish into a Bond movie, because a Bond movie is supposed to be real world.
Yeah.
That this is something that could actually happen in a way.
Yeah. Just basic, basic grounded spy movie.
Yeah. Like you take the plot of Skyfall. Like that was the whole point of where, for me, Skyfall put everything more modern in the Bond world. Because the whole point of that movie was working in the shadows. Everything was computer technology and all that. And I get that that's kind of what this is. It's all computer technology, but it just takes it to a whole other level that I didn't think it needed to take it. That's me. I'm sure there's people out there that loved it, though.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that loved it.
Yeah. There's people out there that saw that completely loved everything about this movie, but to each their own with it. So.
Yes.
And that would be great. If you're out there that have watched No Time to Die and you loved it, let us know what you loved about it. I'm not trying to debate it, just difference of opinion. That'd be great to hear for this. So we have, as we learn, like with the nanobots, we did learn that once the nanobots are on you, like once you touch it or have absorbed any of the virus, there's no way to get rid of the nanobots. And what with the scientist being kidnapped in the MI6 lab, the scientist Bruchev, I think was his name.
Yes.
He's kidnapped by Spectre. U.S. CIA agent Felix, who's in the first 2 Bond movies. Yeah. Well, he was in Spectre too, right?
Yes, I think. Yes.
I think the only one that he wasn't in was Skyfall. So he's been pretty much at canon for the whole Daniel Craig series. He enlists Bond's help to find a Bruchev. Bond originally declines, but then he goes to MI6, finds out that basically the 007 name has been given to a woman, Naomi. And so that kind of helps change his mind that he's like, okay, they've moved past me. Maybe I can do this. And at least that's how I took it. And Bond goes to Cuba, is helped out with a new agent working with Felix. Her name was Paloma, played by Ana de Armas, who, in my opinion, kind of like how I thought of Wonder Woman, the DC movies, she's the breakout star, the breakout character of this movie. Wasn't in it long. Not all Bond women are in the movie a long period. But I I like the action scenes with her. I like the character. I wish there would have been more of her.
Yeah, she made an impact. She did.
And I don't think we're the only ones alone, because they announced this week that she was cast as the lead role for the John Wick spinoff called Ballerina. So it's going to be just a spin-off movie, not, I guess, in the same universe, but not a character that we know yet.
Yeah, welcome.
So looking forward to that, to seeing what she does with it. So that's the main gist of what the whole middle plot of the movie is. You know, with the Bruchev, doing this, they're in Cuba. So they're at a Spectre meeting, and Spectre's basically kidnapped him to bring him in, hired him to release this virus to Bond and kill Bond. So we're at a Spectre meeting. Blofeld's in some secluded area. I forget. It was some MI6.
MI6 black site. Yeah.
Okay. So they have him there. Somehow, at the moment, we don't know how, he's actually able to feed into this meeting to know everything that's going on. And during it, Bruchev, you see him switch out one of the USB drives before Bond gets there. You don't know what he's doing with the USB drive. He just switches out. But whenever Blofeld kind of gives the okay to kill Bond, it ends up killing all of Spectre that's there.
In the room. Yeah. Everybody in the room.
Everybody from Spectre's in this room. And this mist kind of comes out from the ceiling and just instantly kills everybody. So right there, Spectre's done. Other than Blofeld, which Blofeld is Spectre, but whenever he can't do anything while he's in prison, everybody else is dead. What else are you going to do? Didn't love that.
No, not at all. No, because that is like the big bad out the whole Bond universe is Spectre. Yeah.
And
so we're talking about within 30 minutes of the movie, the big bad is already dead.
Yeah. At this point, we don't know what's going on with Blofeld. All we know is that he's in jail, but whenever you basically take out all the henchmen, what's he going to do? So yeah, I don't know. It's like, at that point, it's like, okay, interesting. Didn't hate it yet, I guess. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it yet, because it's just like, okay, what's the real bad guy going to be for this movie? Like, if they're killing off all the people of Spectre, like, what's the real bad guy of this movie? What's he going to do, and how's he going to be portrayed? So at this point, Bond wants to go find Blofeld. He goes back to MI6, where he's then reunited with Madeline, because you find out that that's the only person that Blofeld will talk to. And so they convince her to go in. They've infected her with the virus. Bond doesn't know that, and they're telling her that she needs to basically touch
Blofeld
so he gets this virus. And I did skip over something, because the person that's telling her to do that is Rami Malek's character, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. So if you,
that says siphon. Okay, like siphon, yeah, something like that, yeah.
So he's the one, and that's where we learn that he was the one that killed Madeline's mom and rescued her from the lake from the beginning. So he has some hook on her because of that. He tells her, he gives her the virus to kill Blofeld. They go in. She's very nervous. Like, Bond notices that she's just visibly shaken going into this meeting, which she shouldn't be, because she's met him before, and had multiple of these meetings. And so she runs away. Bond tries to stop her, and he grabs her wrist where she has the virus. He tries to have the meeting with Blofeld, which Blofeld actually is somewhat receptive to Bond. He won't talk to anybody but Madeline, but he's receptive to Bond. That was a little weird to me, but they have their moments in the room, and Blofeld's just trying to get under Bond's skin, and gets to the point where he gets enough under the skin that Bond goes up and kind of grabs him by the throat.
Yep, starts choking him.
Yeah, starts choking him, and who was it that came in?
Tanner.
Okay, Tanner comes in, and then as Tanner and a Bond are kind of having a moment, Blofeld dies from being infected with the virus. So there you have it. Spectre is completely done. There's no coming back from that.
And that was strike 3 right there. And from that point on right there, the movie went downhill for me.
Yeah.
It was like, I still don't understand like how you kill the head of the big bad. And the
And
movie
who
continues. Yeah.
in the history of Bond movies is literally, I don't even know how many movies Blofeld was in, because that's how important Spectre was to Bond.
Yes. And then, so what, this Siphon guy who did the killing, like, is he the biggest bad of all and all that stuff?
No.
I was like, who knows? Yeah. So right there, my opinion with the movie took a woo. It took a 180 degree turn. I'm getting mad at already thinking about it again.
and like we both said before this, it's like it's a week later and we're still just upset about it today as we were walking out of that movie theater.
Yes.
It's like, so that's always the sign of you don't like something. Sometimes you can sleep on it and just be like, okay, it wasn't as bad. But yeah, it's just like, no, like you don't kill them off that easy.
Yes.
If they are the big bad, like you had a whole movie titled Spectre, you don't kill them off just like that.
Who you just introduced last movie.
Yeah,
just last movie. So they just lasted what, a movie and what, about an hour into this, and that was it.
So there, you have to think, okay, you're killing off the real big bad of Bond. Who is going to top them? Is this Siphon as big or bigger than Spectre? And as the movie goes on, the answer is no. Like, he's not even close.
No.
He's doing stuff, like he's doing impressive things, because at that we go to Japan towards the end of the movie and you see his whole lab and what he's doing and what he's expecting to do. But as a character, he's just weak. Like the lack of story, the lack of depth, and how easy, at the end Bond kills him off.
Yeah.
It's like you have a whole island. Like you're telling me that everybody's off the island, like because they kind of do that evacuation there, and everybody they come back and Bond just shoots him easy. It's like I don't know. It's like I don't know where they went wrong with this movie. Like I can't pinpoint here. Like maybe you can, like with killing Spectre, and killing Blofeld. Maybe that is the moment, but how you can't build somebody up better. Like as a villain, I don't know.
It just seemed like they just threw him in there just to, just kill off Blofeld for no reason. Yeah. I don't know.
And then like they just and that's kind of what I hate about the movie, because they kind of tried to wrap everything up in this nice little package.
Because it was Daniel Craig's last one, so
yeah,
they tried to do stuff.
And I guess like where normally a Bond movie is a Bond movie, like it's not a continuation. It's a standalone. You move on to the next one. The next one has a story, and then you move on to the next one after that. Other than, Spectre being in so many of them, and him fighting them over the years. But, just to get things like wrapped up that way, I didn't care for.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Didn't care for it at all.
Yeah. Like, I didn't like how they wrapped up Spectre. I didn't like how they wrapped up,
I didn't mind the Felix stuff. We forgot about that.
Yeah. We can go into that now, too. So, yeah, Felix had Bond go to Cuba.
We're going backwards a little bit.
Yeah. So whenever Bond was in Cuba with Paloma, whenever he was leaving, what was it? They kind of took over someone's plane. And I forget who
that was Naomi's. The new 007. Yeah, because she was going after the doctor also.
Okay.
To bring him back to M.
So they take their plane. They go to Felix's boat. Felix has a new partner, and you're not even sure who that is. And then he ends up double crossing Felix and Bond. And basically joining Siphon or whatever the organization is called with that. And good, if you want to talk about Felix a little bit more.
Yeah, he was a good character in that. And then Logan, that was the guy's name, Logan, he actually killed Felix. So Felix in this movie's dead. Yeah, he locked Bond and Felix down under the hull and locked them in. And then he blew up the hull so they could drown. And by that time, he stabbed Felix, and Felix died in Bond's arms, basically, and just withered away. I was okay with that because he wasn't like, a main character or anything, and somebody had to die. A good guy had to die, so I was okay with that.
I agree. I like the Felix character. I think he brought something a little bit different, to help out with Bond. But I was okay with that, knowing it was Daniel Craig's last movie. I felt like, okay, like he did his job in these movies. It's okay to move on. I don't know if it was necessarily the right part of the movie for him to die, but I was okay with the character dying off. If it was me looking back now, I probably would have had him die later in the movie.
Yes.
Like I probably would have brought him to Japan on the island.
I would have had him do a mission.
Yeah.
With James.
Yeah.
Because they haven't did a mission with each other since Casino Royale. Like together. Yeah.
Because basically, they didn't do a mission. He was working for Felix, and Felix was just off in the background while he did the mission.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I probably would have taken him to the island, and that's where he could have been sacrificed in a way. For any way. There was a bunch of people that a lot of the Siphon's henchmen, they kind of died off in different ways, and maybe that could have been an accident too. But it is what that is. But
yeah.
Where do you want to go next?
So Blofeld dies and that stuff, and they have to try to find Madeline. So James knew where to find Madeline at her old house. Yeah. So then he goes there, he finds her, and then he noticed that she has a child. And then she kept saying, "No, it's not yours. It's not yours." But he kept look at her eyes and that stuff. It's not yours. It's not yours. So,
which I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, anybody listening out there, it reminded me a lot, and I mean a lot, of Superman Returns. Because there was a scene in Superman Returns and a lot of people had issues with this. Like, did they really give Superman a kid? Lois Lane has a son. He resembles Clark a lot, resembles Superman a lot, and you're not sure if he has powers. Things happen where it seems he may have powers, but they don't really come out that he has them. And just like that, the whole blue eyes with the girl in No Time to Die. Just kind of. It did that, like, okay, is this James Bond's daughter or not?
But we don't know,
Yeah, and we don't know at the time. Madeline keeps saying, "No, she's not your daughter." But it's like I keep sitting there thinking, just like nobody liked this about Superman Returns, and here it is. Like it reminded me, like mirrored the same exact storyline.
Yep. So then he calls Q to get the location of Naomi 007, and then he said, why she's tracking me, not going after Logan and that stuff. Then he finally put it together that she is tracking Logan, but Logan is tracking them. So Bond gets the girl, gets Madeline and her daughter in a car, and then they drive off. And they have a big chase scene, a big action scene that happened in the woods and all that stuff. And at the end of that action scene, Siphon picks up Madeline and the daughter and takes them away in a helicopter, and James killed Logan. Yeah, he had a car fall on him and smash him to death.
Yeah. Which was a cool scene. The whole forest scene I thought was cool, like to watch.
Yeah. It was something different, cinematic in the quiet woods, in a secluded area.
Yeah.
I was all right with that.
I kind of honed into his, spy background with that, kind of showed why he is James Bond.
Yeah, his instincts and everything.
Yeah.
All the stuff.
There was a lot of listening for things, and
and all the stuff he used, just in the woods himself.
Yeah.
Not machines and all that stuff, but just natural stuff to do it.
Which then, right after he kills Logan, is whenever Siphon's off in the background finding Madeline and her daughter, and that's end up where he takes her to the island, right?
Yes. Okay. So we're getting towards the end of the movie now.
So that's where we end up going to the island. At this point, Naomi and James are kind of working together now.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the
And
island on MI6 mission.
and then Naomi gave up the 007 tag to give it back to James.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, they were both just kind of saying, like, James kind of shrugged it off, saying that it was just a number. It didn't mean anything to him. But I think she knew that no matter what, that was his number.
Yeah.
To give it back to him. So yeah, we get to Japan on the island.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
And so we get to the island, and they find out that they are mass producing this nanobite, virus and all that stuff that plans to kill the whole world. And what they say the time was, man, they had the graphic up on on a computer when they had the doctor. It was 60,
I don't remember that.
I don't know, 280s coming up in my head for some reason.
Okay.
From what I saw, yeah, but that's what they planned to do. And then James and Naomi noticed that they had to blow the whole island up because the whole island was just mass producing this virus.
Yeah, they had so much explosives, but it wasn't gonna. It could destroy the room, but it couldn't destroy the island.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's whenever they basically call into MI6 with M, and which
is the Royal Navy around. Yeah,
the whole M thing in this movie, I didn't love what they did with his character. Because they made him responsible for this virus. And it's like, then at this point, he has to blow up an island. So there's a whole lot of stuff falling on M.
Mm-hmm.
And if, you follow politics anyway, when you have this much stuff falling on somebody head up, this high up in an organization, that takes them out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all falling back on them, that they have to be responsible for it. And someone's going to be the fall guy, and it usually is the person responsible in a way.
Yeah, because the island was in between Japan and Russia, so it wasn't in international waters. It was like disputed land. Okay. So James asks the Royal Navy around and all that stuff. So they're actually trying to do like a military strike, a covert military strike in disputed land between Japan and Russia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up setting it, and it was 10 minutes for destruction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a lot needs to happen in these 10 minutes. So we get
James getting caught.
Off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's trying to find Siphon. He finds him. Siphon has the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of has her and some. He's not being creepy with her. It's just creepy scenes.
Yeah. Madeline's still locked up.
Yeah.
And she breaks free from Siphon's, first in charge. He was a terrible henchman, number one henchman. Yes. Very bad. No personality, no nothing.
No. Mm-hmm. No depth to a character at all.
No, not at all. He was just
which is the whole basis of this movie. Not a lot of depth to any of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're characters that were in and then moved on.
Yeah. So then Madeline, she broke away from the henchman and going looking for her daughter. James is up there talking to Siphon with the daughter, and then they get away. And then James is trying to find them. Then James run into Madeline, and then they try to find the daughter while all this is happening in 10 minutes, while Naomi is fighting all the other henchmen while holding the doctor.
And at this point, Siphon's basically telling Bond too, because it's Siphon Bond with the daughter, and Siphon's basically telling him that this is your daughter. You don't know it, but you know it, but you don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And she is your daughter, and so it's that kind of confirms everything, but it just hasn't come from Madeline yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then I forgot to mention too, when Siphon was talking to Madeline when they first got to the island, he had that blood vial. I really couldn't hear because he was talking so low, but he had a blood vial, and she was like, "Oh no, I can't believe you did it." So we don't know what was in that blood vial at all.
I thought that was going to be the blood vial of the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of confirm things with James, whether or not that she really was his daughter or not.
Mm-hmm.
The way I thought it was going to go was that one of them was going to be infected, whether it was the daughter, Madeline, or Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was basically going to tell, okay, is she really Bond's daughter or not? They be infected to the point where he goes near them or touches them or something, and then they're fine. And then that's a guarantee that that's not Bond's daughter.
Yeah. And I thought it was Madeline's DNA. Okay. So Bond can't get close to Madeline at all. Yeah, because
which I think it
Siphon
probably ended up being.
that'd be because Siphon was interested in Madeline like the whole
Yeah,
time for creepy vibes
yeah,
and all that stuff. Yeah.
from
But
saving
like I
her all
said,
the way up. Yeah,
but him talking in the movie the whole time was very low, so it was hard to hear.
yeah, and
For me, it was tough.
he was he was kind of like a Blofeld, to where he's not an aggressive villain, but he's an intelligent villain. And so I think that they were trying to play off that. But it's like, if you already had that with Blofeld, why create somebody else that's like him? Why couldn't Blofeld just been the continuation of the villain, or this guy worked for Blofeld in a
Yeah.
way, and just been the new guy in charge while Blofeld's in prison? Like,
Yeah, it's like next man up.
yeah, like to kill off Spectre just to do almost a character that's exactly what you already had. Like, I didn't get that whole transition there.
So then what happens is was it Madeline and James reunite with the daughter because Siphon just let her go. Was like, fine, you could go off and go yourself. They found the daughter, and then James told Naomi and Madeline and the daughter to go because they had to blow the whole island up. So he had to open the blast doors in that bunker so the Royal Navy could penetrate it with their missile barrage. So the girls are all gone and everything, and then James go through his action scene, killing many, 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 many henchmen.
In many different ways.
Yes.
some individually, some groups, some tossing them to whatever that acidic river was.
Yeah, they had the poison and stuff. Yeah. Again, that's one thing they never explained too. What was this being used for?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who fell in it, were burnt to death or poisoned. They never explained it at all.
It's like, I don't know if they were trying to contaminate the water, if that was the point of that, like with the nanobots. Because it's like you saw all these people working in this river underground, and they're in like hazmat suits, so it's some type of chemical thing. And like whenever people fell in, like they got like burned or whatever, eaten alive, whatever by it. But just like, it didn't.
They
really
never
play into the story.
Yeah, they never explained it.
Yeah,
it was just there, just to be there.
Yeah.
So then Bond finally opens up the blast doors for everything. And the missile barrage was starting. As soon as he gets down to basically the bottom to get off the island, the blast door shut. Yep. So what did he do? He go back up to the blast doors to try to open them up again. But before he got there, he was shot. And shot by who? He was shot by Siphon. Yep. Well, and they were in the little pond thing too, like not the poison river. But remember the little pond thing that he said that this is his dad's poison like his garden or something? Zen garden. Yeah, something like that. So that's where Siphon and Bond had their final showdown at.
It was a very weak showdown.
Very weak. It was more talking than anything.
Yeah, and it was a typical Bond villain of going to talk a lot more than any action. But in this scene is where you would normally have some sort of henchman fighting with Bond. Delaying that process, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, there was a moment or two that I liked in it. But like, was it like when Bond like kind of like broke his elbow or his shoulder? I forget what it was. But like that was cool. But
it wasn't that much hand to hand. Yeah, it wasn't much hand to hand at all. It was like those two little punches, and that was it.
And then like I forget what happened. Something happened. I don't know if it was somebody was talking. Was that basically when Bond started talking to Madeline there? Like, because wasn't he talking to somebody, and that's whenever he just ended up killing him.
Madeline was off the island already.
Yeah,
at that time. Yeah, it might have been in his head or something.
Yeah,
it might have been in his head or something.
I just like the way he was doing it. Just the way he killed him was just like dead.
Yeah, which
it wasn't a big moment.
Like shot him with 5 bullets. This, and that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but before that too, Siphon, when he said like you have the virus on you, and all that stuff, because he did talk about that. Yeah. He said, because he pulled out the blood valve and the blood valve was already broken and it was on James. But that was the part where I couldn't hear and was like whose blood was in this vial and all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Because that was one point that me and you talked about after the movie too. Because I had asked you, I thought at first when I saw it, because it was on his cheek, and I thought it was his blood. So I thought James was dying at first. I was just like, and then like it kept going on and on. I was like, well, why is like everybody else got touched with this stuff and they died
Died
instantly?
instantly. Yeah.
I was like, why is his death being prolonged here? Like what's with that? And then afterwards, you said, no, it's like it was one of the girls' blood.
That's what I thought.
Which means that he couldn't be with them. And so because he couldn't be with them anymore, which I think at this point he's on a walkie-talkie. He's on something. He's talking to her somehow.
He's on the comms. He's on the comms.
Okay. So he's talking with her and basically telling her that, we could never be together anymore, but you have, a whole lot of world left to explore.
And then that's when Madeline was like, yeah, James, she does have your eyes. So right there, that confirmed that was James Bond's daughter.
Yeah.
It was like, no.
Strike 4.
Yeah. I don't know. I might have been on strike 16 at that point. Yeah, but but Bond has a daughter, just like you said with the Superman. Superman has a son.
Yeah.
I was like, not to be graphic, but how many girls did Bond hit up in his day?
Yeah.
Unprotected and all that stuff, and then now all of a sudden he has a daughter.
Exactly.
No. That is not James Bond. That is somebody taking free reign, just like they did with Star Wars Last Jedi, but we won't get into that.
So there we have it, that Bond knows that he cannot be with his daughter or the woman that he loves. Still 10 minutes are going by. The countdown's almost up. 10 minutes. Yeah, this is all 10 minutes. So the countdown's almost up. The missiles are about to hit the island. Proceed.
The missiles are about to hit the island, and James standing on top of the bunker, and he's looking at the missiles, and he says something. I mean, by that point, I was already checked out in the movie.
Yeah.
And the missiles hit the island and blow the island up.
With James Bond still on the island.
Yes. So almost 60 years of evading death and all this stuff. As of right now, James Bond is dead.
So there you have this big bright light from all the explosions, which leads to then going back to M's office. That's Q, M, Moneypenny, Naomi,
Tanner.
And Tanner. I always forget about Tanner.
He's important.
Yeah, he's a good character. He's been around for so long as that character, and you never think about him. At least I don't. But they all basically have a drink for James, in memory of him. So at this point, you're still in shock watching this, going like, is he really dead, or are we going to go to the next scene and he's going to be on some island somewhere, just living his best life, and just kind of walked away from everything. And which then after they have their moment in M's office is a scene with Madeline and her daughter driving the coast of what I believe was where they were at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Which I don't know where it was, but they were driving along the coast again.
It was in Spain. They were in Spain. Yeah.
Okay. And basically Madeline then starts telling the daughter the story of James Bond. And they drive into a tunnel, and as they're driving through the tunnel, it kind of resembles the barrel, that you start off the movie with, in a way. It's supposed to be like sort of like that picturesque moment. And that's where it ends.
And all that time they were driving, they were playing We Have All the Time in the World by Louis Armstrong, which was the main theme song of On Her Majesty's Secret Service Bond movie, the 5th one in the series. Yeah, and
if you haven't seen that movie, go ahead.
And if you don't know about that movie, that's when James fell in love also, and he got married at the end of the movie. But right after he got married, 2 minutes later, Spectre Blofeld killed his wife.
You said her name was Tracy, right?
Tracy, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they made a big mistake by having Bond get married, but they rectified it 2 minutes later by having
Which, it's been a few years since I've gone back and watched On Her Majesty's Secret Service, because at the time I didn't like the movie, because I didn't care for the guy playing him, George Lazenby, playing Bond. I didn't love that they had Bond get married.
Yeah.
So in a way, I wouldn't say it's my least favorite Bond movie. I mean, it's up there. because for me, Roger Moore movies are just awful. Like those aren't. I get he's what a lot of people think about, for James Bond because he played the role for so long.
Yeah, he did not movies.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people like that, but for me, I kind of skip over the Roger Moore movies whenever I'm watching Bond. Like for me, it's Sean Connery. I'll go to Timothy Dalton. I didn't hate Timothy Dalton's movies.
No.
I just felt like there were so much great action movies in the 80s that the Bond movies didn't live up to some of those other action movies at the time. Like I just felt like it just didn't equal what it should have been.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Timothy Dalton gets forgotten about a lot of times with the Bond films.
Yeah, his two movies were good. I enjoyed those. Living Daylights and License to Kill. They were good. Yeah, they weren't, totally top three. They're not top three Bonds, but they were good.
Yeah, they're watchable movies though. Like for me, Roger Moore movies are not watchable again.
Yeah. He did 7 movies. Sorry, I said 9, 7. Then the credits hit, and it was over. And then at the end of the credits, they said James Bond will return.
Yeah. So at this point,
I was like, how?
Yeah. Again, at this point, everything's wrapped up now. Like I said before, a nice little package, which I hated. Because it's like, I get how they did this. It's like Daniel Craig's Bond wasn't necessarily a continuation of Bond. It was just a standalone. So if you're new to the Bond and you want to watch some good movies, you watch Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. That's basically a 2-parter. Skyfall is a standalone in its own way. And then Spectre and No Time to Die are connected too. So if you really want to get the essential Bond out of this, you don't really necessarily need to watch Skyfall in the Daniel Craig era. Mostly the story comes from Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Spectre, and No Time to Die. Like those are all connected together. They connected Skyfall and Spectre,
but it was just real quick.
Yeah, it's not. You don't need to watch Skyfall to be connected for everything. Skyfall, again, like I said before, is my favorite Bond movie. It's, I think, a great film, and I'm glad it is a standalone. I'm glad they kind of didn't connect everything together necessarily to kind of ruin it, or like, bring in Spectre and then continue the storyline and kind of ruin it the way they did with No Time to Die with Spectre.
Yeah, for me, it was just a bad movie altogether. Yeah. It was, from the theme music and the opening credits was bad. The plot was terrible. The acting was very, very subpar. I mean, you had your action scenes here and there. Character development was awful. And then just the revelation of Bond having a daughter and James Bond dying was just icing on the cake for this whole movie.
I agree.
I mean, it was bad. Yeah, I'm trashing it because the movie was trash.
And it's one of those movies where I walked out of it thinking much like a Batman versus Superman. I walked out of there going like, that movie was trash. I'm not watching that ever again. And I'm trying to even think of some other movies I just thought were so awful. But
yeah, I can never watch this movie again.
Yeah.
That's how
I'm
bad
gonna watch it again just to see, like, now that Dark Knight Rises. That's actually the perfect one for me. So I can watch Batman. I'll watch Batman versus Superman again, and I still hate it as much as I hated it the first time. Okay? Just because it's a trash movie. All DC movies are trash, and then you go into, but like, say, The Dark Knight Rises. Like, love The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Dark Knight Rises, I couldn't get past Bane's voice whenever I saw it in the theater. So I actually had to go back and rewatch it a second time. And that made me actually enjoy the movie a little bit more, because at that point I was over his voice.
He was over the voice.
I could move past it. So now I know what's coming in this movie. It's almost a 3-hour movie. I know what's coming for it. I know what the ending is going to be. I'll see if that changes my mind. I don't know if it will. Because I'm still, a week later, still pretty upset over the whole thing. Like, I had a gift card, so I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the daughter stuff and him dying is just like very, very sticking points.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They really, really are.
Yeah, I don't think that this will ever be one that I'll go back over and over to watch. Like I said, Skyfall I could watch.
Mm-hmm.
Really, just in general, movies that I know that I could watch. Doctor No, Goldfinger, Goldeneye, Tomorrow Never Dies, Die Another Day, The World Is Not Enough, and Skyfall. I could watch any of those over and over again. But yeah, like I don't think this one's going to be one of those types of movies for me.
Well,
And Daniel Craig's a great Bond. Like he plays the character very well.
he played it very well.
Yeah,
I was
he did.
I was sketchy about him when they first announced he was going to be Bond, but I grew to like him. Yeah. I really did.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I read that I heard afterwards is that Danny Boyle was originally intended to direct No Time to Die. Actually started, in the process with everything, but he left the movie, which was said to be for creative differences. It's now rumored, not confirmed, that Boyle did not like Bond being killed off, and that's why he left. All that Boyle has confirmed is that the dispute was over the script. Like,
there you go.
And I don't blame him for leaving.
I don't blame it at all.
Yeah. No. So I know there was a rewrite. Whoever was working on the movie, there were some things he wanted changed. They changed it, and then I don't know where the creative differences went from there. He had every right to change things. I think he had every right to be upset. If this is why he left, because they killed off Bond, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I just wish someone would have listened to him. And I would love to know where the breakdown is. And I get the whole James Bond universe for Daniel Craig is different than any James Bond universe that we've seen before. In essence, it's like I said before, it's a movie, you move on to the next one. So if there is a change of character, like of the actor playing it, you might have like different characters being played by, like M might change, Moneypenny might change, Q might change, but they're all still the same character.
Yes.
Where in this one, it's a little different. I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always felt like the character of M, the character, like it's James Bond. It's like it's always James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
No matter the actor playing him, he's that character. They're playing a character. I felt like M, Moneypenny, and Q, they're all a character. Where in essence in this movie they kind of, you see a scene at one point with M, with Mallory, and all the previous M's pictures are around him. So they basically make M be individualized in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been multiple M's. It's not that's the title, not the character.
Yes.
Of that person in a way. Where it's like, I don't know if you necessarily need, I like it being James Bond the character, not 007. Not that we could have different people playing 007. It's just like, and same thing with Moneypenny. Like I don't need different Moneypennies.
Yeah.
Like being different incarnations of it. I just need the character to be Moneypenny.
That's it. Yeah, that's
different actors playing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, this was different. Like the whole Daniel Craig era was just different. And we'll see how they do the next incarnation of it. And that kind of leads to the next question. The Broccoli family basically said they're not going to discuss anybody till 2022. So do you have, it's been a week since it's been a while since we've known this was the end for Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
But a week coming off of the movie, I honestly don't have any idea who the next Bond will be. Do you have any guess on who you think it might be?
No, I would like to see somebody fresh.
Yeah.
Somebody new. Like new to the business. I
don't need it to be restarted right away.
No, it don't. Just keep moving.
Yeah.
It don't need to be like it don't need to be Casino Royale for the third time.
No. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'd rather the next movie just be the next incarnation, not a complete reboot.
Yeah.
Like they kind of did this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you get somebody young, great. Even if they would get somebody a little bit older again, that's cool too. That then they're just limited. So you kind of got to get as many movies as you can quickly with them. Because when did Casino Royale come out? Was that 2006?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he 15 years playing Bond in 5 movies. You know, where Brosnan had what
4
movies in less than 10 years.
Yeah, 95 to 2002.
Yeah. So, you know, he was a little bit older, so they knew, you know, coming out almost every 2 or 3 years of the movie helps with it. You know, and I thought that's the way it was going to be with Daniel Craig too, because I think by Skyfall he was ready to hang it up.
Yes, I think after Skyfall he was done. They had to like really, really convince him to come do Spectre,
and then really convince him to do No Time to Die as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if they got the contract all done for Spectre and No Time to Die at the same time.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they had to convince him to come back after Spectre again. So yeah, it's just I don't. We'll see what they do next. Again, the ending credits was James Bond will return. So at some point he will. I'm okay with a 5-year break or something like that while they find, you know, while they do a casting change and all that. And they need to come back better. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Because
I still want to know how he's dead. How is he going to come back when he's dead?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is right. Marvel figured that out for us.
And with doing nanobots, I don't need time travel.
That's how he'll come back alive. I never even thought of that. The nanobots will bring him back to life. You know, after being blown up by a missile barrage. You know, and we'll put it back together again.
Comes back as the Terminator.
Jason X.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Every time I see the reviews for this movie, it's either 5 stars or 1 star. Like there's no middle ground at all for anybody. It's either you love the hell out of this movie or you hate the hell out of this movie. And I'm sorry, I'm one that hates the hell out of this movie. Yeah. I really do.
So on our drink of the week segment, we do a sumo scale, 1 to 5 sumos. Where would you put No Time to Die?
This is a 1 for sure. Okay. On a scale. 0.5 if we have that.
Yeah, 0.5.
Yeah, 0.5. It's not good at all. It's not. Yeah, and I ran down all the problems I had with it. Yeah,
I think just right now I'm at a 1.5 with it because there were some things I did like, and I'll give credit to those. But overall, no, you know, not definitely a movie that I would really recommend. I think it's one of those. I just think it's one of those movies. If you're a Bond fan, you're going to watch this movie. You're just going to do it because you watched all the other ones, probably. If you're a person that's thought, I don't watch James Bond, but maybe I'll watch this movie as a standalone just to see what it's like, I don't recommend it at all. Like this is not the movie to dip your toes in the James Bond franchise. Like definitely go back and watch some of the better movies. Start with Dr. No.
Yeah, you know? Always Dr. No.
Yeah.
If you're new, start with Dr. No.
Yeah. Even if you don't watch them in order. Dr. No is a great movie to just start with. Anything else?
No, I think I had my piece.
All right. I think that's just about it for us tonight. Our regular weekly show, the Denmarks Podcast, is live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So please subscribe, like, or follow one or more of those pages to get notifications when we go live. Also help support our show by telling a friend and buying some of our merchandise at prowrestlingtees.com/DenmarksPod. We hope you enjoyed the No Time to Die movie review. And if you didn't, well, what do we know anyway? We're just a bunch of Denmarks. So until next time, remember that we have all the time in the world.
Yes.